So in this video, I'm breaking down the 7 stages of financial freedom, and there's different terminology out there. I want to break these down. Financial independence means that you make enough money to survive, right? That doesn't mean financial freedom. Financial freedom means that you have the money to be able to do things where you want to do them, not necessarily when you want to do them. But if you have to work on a laptop or take a phone call, you can be on a jet or on a beach compared to sitting in the office. True wealth is where you don't have to take the phone call. You don't have to be on the computer. You have businesses and income streams that pay you no matter what you do. So those are the 3 differences: financial independence, financial freedom, and then wealth is really like the complete freedom where everybody wants to be. So here are the 7 of them. And this kind of depends on where you live, obviously. And also, there's before tax, there's after tax money. So I'm talking about before tax. Now, some people don't pay any taxes because they have different strategies. So again, take all this with a grain of salt. But the first one is when you're broke. That essentially means that you're trying to pay your bills. So that's anywhere from like $0 to $60,000 a year that you could be earning at a job, or maybe you just got laid off and you're not making any income right now. So we've all probably at some point been in this broke stage. And what that typically looks like, you might be living with roommates, hopefully to be able to save some money. You probably have some side hustles, hopefully to be able to save some money. You're probably not going out, on these nice, luxurious dinners. If you are, you should probably rethink that. And at the end of the day, dollars matter. I remember personally being in this stage. I went through my bank account, all my recurring charges, and I wrote them all down, and I knew exactly how much money was coming in and out of my account, what dates the money was hitting on. So I had to make sure I had enough money in the account to be able to cover those payments. And adding something as simple as like, I remember coming off of my parents' phone plan and having to put it on my own. I think it was like $100 or something like that. And I remember like that was a big step for me to be able to take that expense on myself. Especially moving out of my parents' house. I didn't move out at this point. Luckily I was able to invest into the future to build wealth, to build income before I ever moved out of my parents' house because I did it early on. But those are kind of the stages that you're at. Like, dollars matter. You need to know money in and money out. The big thing to take away here, again, we've all been probably in this position at some point in our life. There's really 2 things that you need to be doing to be able to move on to the next stage. Number 1 is learn a high-paying skill. The only way that you're going to make more money is by providing more value. The only way to provide more value is to learn a skill to be able to make more money. This could be learning how to swing a hammer or be a contractor. It could be learning how to invest in real estate. That's what I did. It could be learning how to trade stocks. It could be learning how to do drop shipping, whatever it is. You need to be learning a high-paying skill, and you should be saving money to be able to either invest into the education in that high-paying skill or to invest into assets, real estate, stocks, dividends, whatever it is. So like I've said, everybody's been in the broke stage at some point in their journey, but there's a difference here: broke and poor. Broke means that you don't have money, which we've all been there before at different times. Poor means that you have no desire to make more money. So if you're in the broke phase, but you're doing those 2 things, educating yourself to learn a higher paying skill and ideally taking some of that money to invest into that education or to invest into assets, you'll eventually leave the broke phase and hopefully, grow to step number 7 that we're going to go through. If you're poor and you just have no desire to go out and make money, to learn, to educate yourself, to increase your skill level, you're always going to stay poor, which means you're always going to be in the broke phase. Stage number 2 is some breathing room. So essentially you're making anywhere from like $60,000 to maybe $120,000 here. You're still not living large. Again, depending on the city that you're in, that could still be not a lot of money. So living mediocre, you're making a little bit more money. So maybe, you go out and you have a nice dinner. Maybe, instead of living with 4 roommates, maybe you just live with 1 roommate, right? Because you still shouldn't be like having a penthouse at this point, because otherwise you're wasting all your money. And at the end of the day, hundreds of dollars matter. So again, going back to my journey when I started, I got out of the broke phase into this phase. And luckily for me, I knew that this wasn't where I wanted to be. My original goal was to make $100,000 a year, and we're here, 60 to 120. And $100,000 does not change your life. You can go through 100 grand very, very quickly. If you have a nice car, nice house, go on a couple vacations, you just blew through all that money. So don't think once you get that raise to $100,000 or $110,000 that you're living the life that you want to live. You are still in the same process. There's 2 things that you should be doing right now: learning a high-paying skill, a higher paying skill than whatever skill that you have right now, and you should be saving that money to be able to invest into the future. Again, for me right now in this stage, when I was there, I was investing into real estate. I was learning how to flip houses using other people's money, and I would take some of my profits and I would buy rental properties, because wealth is only through owning rental properties. So again, you can do stocks, you can do rentals, but you need to be investing money into assets that'll pay you for the rest of your life. Stage number 3 is living a little. So this is like $120,000 a year to like $250,000 a year. So now, you covered your normal living expenses. You might have a little bit nicer of a house. You might have a little bit nicer of a car. You might go on a couple, nice vacations, or buy your significant other, a bag or something. You have a little bit of extra money to spend, but don't get caught here. This is where most people get stuck for the rest of their lives. Because at the end of the day, you're still probably at this point very active in your business. So if you started a new business, you're probably the only one, maybe one other person doing the work. So it still takes all your time. Or if you're working a W-2 and you just have a high paying W-2 job, you still have to work the W-2 and put the time in. So last thing you want to do is for the next 5, 10, 20, 50 years of your life, be making, 150, 200 grand a year, but having to work 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a year for the rest of your life, right? It's not a good position to be in. Yes, you've quote unquote made it out a little bit, but you're nowhere near where you want to go. So do not get stuck here. At the end of the day, in this stage, you're only a couple things wrong from going broke. If you have a business and you have one main customer and they change their mind and go with somebody else, your income just got cut probably in more than half. And you probably have increased your living expenses at this point. So then when your income gets cut, you can no longer afford to be where you're at. When I was at this stage personally, I was living in a house hack, which means that I lived in a duplex. I rented half of it out. I rented the other bedrooms in my units out still at this time. So I was living for free because all my income covered my living expenses, my mortgages, and my utility payments. And I was still driving a 2004 Toyota Camry, and I was making multi-six figures a year net. And I was still driving a 2004 Toyota Camry. And when I finally splurged to buy this baller car, it was a Jaguar XJL. I think it was a 2014 or a 2015. And it was a $30,000 car. So it's like, okay, I made, hundreds of thousands of dollars per year net back-to-back years. And my splurge was a $30,000 car, right? I didn't go buy a $100,000 car and pay $2,500 a month because I didn't want to get tied to that monthly payment, right? You go, you get a nice car, you pay $1,000 or $2,000. You go and you upgrade your apartment, you're paying $4,000 or $5,000. You get these luxuries, you start spending more and more and more every month. So now your expenses is $10,000 a month, $15,000 a month. That's your full income. So if anything happens, you're done. You're literally gonna lose it all and start all over again. At this time for me, guess what I was doing? The same two things. Learning a higher paying skill than where I was at, and I was taking my income and investing it into assets. Yes, I think I bought a Rolex at this time. It was like a $12,000 watch. I wanted to reward myself a little bit, but even at the end of the day, looking back, it was probably like a dumb purchase. I'm not saying don't ever reward yourself because you have to, get the fulfillment from working all these long hours. But at the end of the day, like when you're at $150,000, $250,000, you're this close to going broke again. So do not get caught here. Do not get caught up in living the life and traveling and spending all your money, because then you'll stay here for the rest of your life. Step number 4 is comfortable. You're making $250,000, $250,000 to maybe $750,000. Now your living expenses are more than covered, right? Now you're comfortable. Now you're chilling. You got the nice car, you got the nicer house, you can go on a little bit of vacations, and you still got money in the bank and you still got income coming in. But you're probably still a relatively solopreneur and or have a very small team, and you're still at the top of the food chain. So all business decisions still come to you. So if you don't work, guess what? Business doesn't operate and you don't make money. Congratulations though. If you're at 250 to 750, like you have some success, right? And at this point, 2,500s, quote unquote, of dollars matter. As you go up this food chain, it changes. Dollars matter, then hundreds matter, then thousands matter, then thousands matter, then tens of thousands matter as you continue to go up. So right now, you spend $2,500 to $5,000, you're gonna realize that decision because of the income that you have. If you spend a couple $100, maybe $1,000, you're probably not even gonna think about it because you know that you have enough money coming in the next month to cover whatever expense it is right there. For me personally, when I was at this stage in my journey, at this point, I had built a new construction house for myself. I bought the lot for $3,000. Again, being smart with my investing, and my total monthly mortgage, once it was built and stabilized, was $2,500 a month. I bought in an area for super cheap that had property tax abatements, so my property taxes were like $16 a month. So that's why my mortgage payment was so cheap, about $2,500 a month. So even though I was, comfortable, I was still living in a very inexpensive home, and I was still house hacking, meaning that I still rented the bedrooms in my house to other friends that I had because I wanted my expenses to be covered. Because guess what I was doing? The same two things. I was learning a higher paying skill, and I was taking my money and investing it into real estate to buy more assets that pay me for the rest of my life, that help make me build wealth. I was taking still the hard-earned money that I was making and investing it right back into real estate. So again, do not get caught here. Yes, you can live a comfortable life for the rest of your life, but again, it's always gonna take you to fulfill this, right? $700,000 a year is not a big enough income to take care of all your team, like a huge team, a C-suite, a COO. It doesn't work like that. So don't get caught here. The next phase is living. You're making like $750,000 to $2 million-ish per year. Yes, now, you have the dream home, right? You have, you might even get a Rolls Royce or a Lamborghini or an Audi or whatever it is that car that you want. You might go get one of those. But you never want to do that the first year you make that type of money because you don't know if it was a fluke or if it was a good year. Once you get consistent, you do $1 million plus a year consistently, it's like, all right, cool. Like this is now my new normal, right? I say old ceilings become new floors. So you break through a barrier and now that's the floor for you now. So you want to make sure that you can actually consistently be in this stage of financial freedom because last thing you want to do is exponentially increase your living expenses to then not have the same amount of income the next year. And this may sound crazy to you, but still, even at this point, you're 1, 2, maybe 3 decisions away from losing it all. Because the thing that happens is, as you make more money, you have more obligations, right? For me, in real estate, I own a lot of real estate, about $25 million worth of real estate. Guess what? I still have debt, meaning I have to cover my mortgage payments every single month. So if half of my tenants stop paying, I won't be able to fulfill all of my mortgage payments. So guess what I have to do? I have to put money aside in a bank account. So if things do go wrong, I still have money set aside to cover my expenses. So with the more money that you make, typically you have team members you have to pay, you have payroll, you have overhead and rent, you have mortgages. Ideally, hopefully you're investing into real estate. That's one of the best ways to create wealth. So you have to cover your mortgage payments. So your obligation and monthly expenses is also going to increase as well. And at this point, hundreds of dollars don't matter. Thousands of dollars don't matter. You spend 10, 15 grand on something, that matters. You're going to think about that decision at least. So for me, this is kind of where I've been at. I've made multi-seven figures for a couple years now. And I'm trying to break that next barrier, which we're going to cover here in a second. And then stage number 6 is quote unquote living large. At this point, $2 million plus, up to many, many millions of dollars. Money isn't that big of a thing anymore. Yes, you can't own a private jet and charter, fly private every single week. You can't own a yacht and go on your yacht every single week. Can you charter these things? Yes. Can you do it every week? No. So if you have goals and ambitions of owning these things like I do, this stage is not going to be enough for you. So you have the nice house and nice cars and all those things. But if this income is still extremely active, meaning that you have to go out and you have to hustle and work, you still have a team that you lead, you haven't put a C-suite executives in place, you still have businesses that you operate, yes, you're making great money, but you're still tied to the job. You're still tied to the obligations that you have. So at the end of the day, like everything that we've just talked about is most likely on the active side. You have to go out and you have to work to make this type of money. And during this time, I hope that you're taking your hard-earned money and investing it into assets that'll pay you for the rest of your life. The final stage of this process is financial freedom, right? When you can make millions of dollars a year, many six figures, if not seven figures a month, 100% passively from your investments, that's the definition of financial freedom and wealth. Meaning that money comes in whether you show up or not. That money comes in whether you pick up the phone. That money comes in whether you send the email on the laptop. That money comes in whether you show up in the office and go to a meeting or not. You have teams that operate these things, or you've made passive investments into operators that operate businesses that then just pay you a monthly residual income. Last thing I'm gonna say about this, being quote unquote the money is the best position to be in. Let's say you save up $1 million in your lifetime and you're able to lend that at 10% interest. You can make 100 grand a year, 100% passively. Say you save up $5 million, lend it at 10%. You can make $500,000 a year passively. Say you save $10 million, you can make $1 million a year, 100% passively. And that 10% number, some people you talk to are gonna say that's an extremely high, unrealistic number. Me personally, I earn significantly more than 10% on my money because I understand money. As you make more money in this world, you will have a better understanding of money and you will know where to place money to earn a higher ROI. So the goal is to stack up enough cash to be able to invest to passively earn profits where you don't have to show up. You invest, the money shows up in your bank every single month. So if you're looking for that financial freedom, there's two ways to do it. One, build passive income, i.e. buy real estate or dividend stocks that'll pay you every single month. Or number two, save up enough money, get a big enough nest egg to then take that money and invest and lend to others at 5, 10, 20, 30% ROI. And then you got money coming in. My plan now is building that passive income through investing into real estate to be bringing in that $2 million a year without having to do anything. So if you want to learn what real estate strategy I'm using to build that, watch this next video here.